All right, there we go.
Welcome to Marketing Jeopardy! First category, most knowledgeable SEO. Ding! John Limbacher.
Oh, I look forward to seeing what you'll always come up with there, Gregory. That is cool. All right, so it is March 25th here. Not sure how that happened, but it seems like we were just in January. But I am definitely loving the daylight savings working in my favor here. It seems like, I look out the window one day and it's dark at 5 o'clock, and now I look out the window and it's light at 7 o'clock. So that's awesome. I love that. All right, so let's get started here. Who's got something they want to cover first?
I'll go if nobody else does.
Okay, go for it.
I need some basic information about, I'm just at this point really confused. Email addresses connected to domain names and then forwarding those. I've got a bunch of domain URLs at GoDaddy, most of which come with an email address.
Okay.
And then they want to upgrade me to email with Office 365. And I think I have 3 different Office 365s with them.
Oh,
not to mention the ones I have personally.
Yeah.
How does one, number one, understand these things and then extricate oneself from GoDaddy?
Okay, sure. That's actually a great question. I get this a lot from people, especially entrepreneurs that have multiple businesses and multiple domains, and they get stuff like all over the place. And it's a pain in the butt. The more email in itself is bad enough, but when you start multiplying the problems, it gets exponentially more complex. So I can tell you, first of all, I'll tell you like all the email, how it works, and then I'll tell you what I do to simplify my life as far as email goes. Because I know, you want different email addresses at different domains, and that's not a problem. The problem comes into when you have multiple POP email accounts, which a POP email account, it's basically just an email account, an actual real email box. So 360, Office 360, that is like a real email box. POP accounts, IMAP accounts. There's a bunch of different names for email boxes. And when you have an actual email box, you have to go to that place to check that mail in that box. So like if you were using Outlook, for instance, you would have to set up multiple settings to check each one of those boxes. And then it wants to put them in different folders and all this stuff. So it gets exponentially more complicated. Also, now you've got webmail at different locations. You have different addresses to log in to check all of your mail. So I hate that shit. I want one spot to go and get all my mail. And furthermore, the only reason why I want different addresses to begin with is so I can differentiate like where they might have come from, or this is a good strategy here. If you create, like, let's say you're going to opt into someone's program and you want to know if they're selling your email address or who they're giving it to and what kind of garbage is being generated from that opt-in, what you can do is, like, I'm internetdominators.com. My email is john@internetdominators.com. So if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to sign up for Zoom, and I want to use a different email address because I want to know if any other garbage is being generated by Zoom. So I can create an email address that's zoom@internetdominators.com. I sign up, I only use it for them. And then as mail comes in, anything coming in to that address, coming to Zoom and Internet Dominators, I know damn well where it came from because I'd only used that email address one time for one purpose. So that's a good way to track and see if somebody's spamming you. And then if you don't want it, you just kill that address off and you got rid of all the garbage. So it's a way to protect your main email from getting a bunch of junk and not being able to sift through it or get rid of it. So that's something that's, a lot of people do. It's a really good way to do it. Now, how do you do that without getting a bunch of email boxes to check, right? It's called mail forwarding. So anytime where you have an email address that's at a real email box, you can set up mail forwarding so you can create as many of those addresses at that domain as you want, and you can have them all forward to that one box without creating an additional box. So like when I go to my john@internetdominators.com email box, all that stuff forwards in there. I don't have multiple places to check my mail. So that's what I like to do. Now, the case of buying a bunch of domain names, and you've got all these opportunities to have email at all these different domain names. I don't really see a big reason in actually doing that unless they were completely separate companies that were completely unrelated. So if you want to do that, you can still just forward them. You do not have to create email boxes on any of those domains. You can create forwards from any domain from one to another. So my recommendation is set up your one email address, your one email, your one Outlook 360, whatever it is, and then have all the rest of them just forward to it. You can see how they show up, when they get in there. Gmail, a lot of people use Gmail. You can do the same thing with Gmail. You can forward all your mail to Gmail. And Gmail, you can actually set up, and I think you can do this in Outlook 360 as well. I don't do it, so I can't tell you the exact steps to do it. But I know based on the email that comes in, you can reply from that email address as well. Mm-hmm. So you can set that up. So, but my recommendation is you pick your main corporate identity, and then you can have an unlimited amount of other domains if you want them, but you don't really need email addresses at all those domains. Like in my case, the internetdominators.com, that's not actually my corporate identity. My corporate identity is limboland.net. So that's Limboland is, or actually Limbo Vision is my C Corp. Okay. So Limbo Vision is my C Corp that owns everything. All of my companies are all owned ultimately under that, but there's no recognition of that. I don't use limbovision.com. I don't use, I don't even use the limboland.net anymore. I basically rebranded everything under Internet Dominators. Internet Dominators is owned by LimboVision. But right, I use
the DBA?
Yes, Internet Dominators is owned under the LimboVision Corporation. So it is a DBA of that.
Got it.
So as my forward-facing brand, I rebranded to Internet Dominators about 10 years ago. So I pretty much dumped everything else. I use john@internetdominators.com for all communications, no matter, because I have other companies. I've got SitePop. I've got, all these different things that I do, but I operate under one email address, one identity. I have enough trouble keeping track of myself, let alone if I have multiple identities. So I just really simplify things. I know when a lot of people get into the internet, they get all excited and they think they can have all these multiple identities, but you got to really ask yourself why. Why do you need that? You know, you are much stronger under one corporate umbrella, one brand. You know, you can be known for many things under there, and it just strengthens it. So my advice would be to clean all that stuff up, dump out what you don't need. You don't need a bunch of email accounts to keep track of. You don't need to be paying a bunch of email hosting bills. You just need one. And then, you know, you can get really creative with email forwarding. Email forwarding costs nothing. You know, it's free. Wherever you get it, it should be free. And then you just forward those all to your main email address. Does that kind of, was there any other specific questions you had about?
Something, yeah, all right. Say I've got a domain, Family Wealth Collective, and that domain comes with one email address.
Okay.
How do I get more email addresses under that domain?
You can set up either forwards. You can have an unlimited amount of forwards under that domain that all go to the main email box. Or you can do what we were talking about. You can actually create multiple addresses, multiple email boxes.
Okay, what's the difference?
The only difference is if you've got another email box, you've got another place to check mail. It gives you another account to log into to chase your mail. Whole nother can of worms.
Okay, so I think I
can,
must have it backwards.
Yeah, you can take your main domain and you can create an unlimited amount of email addresses in there that just forward to the other one.
Okay, so what I do is opt in for forwarding and then say,
yeah,
create one that's, you know, info at and reply at and whatever.
Yeah, and here's another thing. I would stay away from the generic ones. I would stay away from info. I would stay away from support, because spammers get onto those. Spammers will test those at all domains to see if mail gets collected there. And if it does, then they'll start spamming you. And then they'll put you on a list of, yeah, this is an open email address. And then you start getting all kinds of crap. So I would steer clear of those. I would use either your name, your company name, something unique, specific, other than the generics. Like stay away from info, admin, support, all of the basic standard generics. I would steer clear of those.
It sounds more personal anyway if you use a person's name or something like that.
Yeah, if you want to use a catch-all like that, here's a reason why you might want to. If you had a company environment and you had support people and you had either one of them that wasn't going to stay with you forever, or you had multiple support people, you might want to create a support email address that wasn't specific so multiple people could reply from it. But just don't use support. Use something specific. Like use Teresa's support, or something.
Yeah, right, or something. Yeah,
something unique. Yeah. That would be a
Friends of Teresa.
Yeah, exactly. Just not the generics. The generics, they'll get you a bunch of spam. I guarantee it.
Good to know. Sure. Yeah. Now you tell me.
Yeah. People should, take that lesson when they first buy their domain, not 10 years later.
Yes, I'm motivated to clean a lot of stuff up, and it is a real Gordian knot, as they say.
Yeah, I know on our hosting, we do bulk filtering of spam. Like we're connected to a firewall for email that filters out. We filter, I think it's over 1 million messages an hour on our servers. Over 1 million an hour just get killed because they're known spam, just absolutely known garbage. And a lot of it is the ones coming into those supports and infos and admins and you know, we've tracked them to be absolute garbage. So we filter that out for, you know, for all of our clients, but there's still a lot that gets through the net.
Sure.
You know, we have
Yeah,
to,
they get smarter all the time.
yeah. I mean, we can't filter it down too far, or we could potentially, you know, filter out a real email, and we don't want to do that. But we definitely have identified the true garbage, and we get rid of that right off the top.
So I'm sorry for my ignorance, but
No
okay.
worries at all.
You host my website,
Correct.
and how do I would like to consolidate everything in
Okay.
as easily as possible. Can you describe what other add-ons are available to the hosting?
Sure.
Is it an email? Can I
Any
have an email service through you? Can I?
Absolutely. Anybody that hosts your website has the ability to host your mail as well.
Okay.
So there's third-party hosting providers for mail that some people like the Office 365 is a very popular one. Google Mail, a lot of people like to host their domain mail at Gmail. So those are two very popular hosting mail platforms. So this is kind of, I might be taking you in the weeds deep in the trenches here, but let me just describe, like, when you buy a domain name,
Okay.
there is a thing called a DNS record. That's domain name service. That's what it stands for. And this is what connects it and allows people on the internet to find your website. Without that, your domain name is just, you put it in and it comes up, cannot be found. So that record, that's a set of records that tells the internet where all of your belongings to that domain lives.
Okay.
Like it shows, there's an A record that shows where your website is. There's an MX record that shows where your mail lives. Sometimes they all live in the same house, but sometimes they don't. So it's those records that says, okay, for mail, Sherry lives over here. For her website, she lives over there. You know, you might have other things where it lives in different places. So those records, basically, that's like the roadmap for someone to get to your house, whether it be for mail, your website, your shopping cart, anything at all to do with the internet has a DNS record. Now, those DNS records are housed in what's called a name server. So name servers can be anywhere on the internet. Like when you buy a domain from GoDaddy, GoDaddy automatically gives you their name servers to host your DNS records. If you go with a third-party host like myself, what the first thing we do is, I want to be in control of those DNS records, so you have a one call solves it all.
Yes.
So if there's a problem, you call me and I can fix it for you because I have control of those records.
Mm-hmm.
So if the records are at GoDaddy, then GoDaddy hosts your name servers, and that's where all those records are. So you would now have to go into GoDaddy and edit those records yourself, which most people go, oh, hell no. I don't want any part of that. Which that's another reason why the first thing I do when I'm going to host somebody's site is I check to see, like, you know, what kind of can of worms am I getting into here? Do they have records all over the internet that I'm going to have to replicate? If that's the case, sometimes it's easier for me to just log into your GoDaddy account for you and just point the website to me and leave all the rest as is, because it's complex.
That's where we are now. Yeah.
So if it's if it's easier, you're starting from scratch, I just have you point the name servers to me, or I log into your GoDaddy account, point them to me, and then I can set them up for you as you grow. If you need anything added, I just add it in for you. So that's kind of the way that is. And it's basically, it's routing. It's like a big router to route all of your properties so people can find you. That's kind of a, you know, the layman's terms of it. But that allows you to have mail hosted at, you know, Office 360. Your website can be over here. You can have your name servers at GoDaddy. You can have the shit spread out all over the internet if you want. But it's easier to have it as much as you can in one place. That way, if there's ever a problem or you want to add something in the future, you're not having to go back and figure out, oh God, where is this? Where is that? And it's all over the place. So to simplify, try and get all that as much as you can with one provider. So you have a one call solves it all. Mm-hmm. And then simplify your overall mail methodology. You know, my recommendation is one account, one email box, and just forward everything to it. You know, and if you need to be able to respond from different email addresses, then just set that up, you know, in there. Like if you've got Gmail or you've got Outlook or something like that, you can do that. Even if you just have, like, let's say I was hosting your mail and you're using a mail reader now to read it, like Outlook, or I use Thunderbird. I love the Thunderbird product to read my mail. And you can set up multiple, they call them personalities. So you can respond from a different email address out of the one email reader. Same thing as you can do that with GoDaddy or any of those. So does that make sense? The other reason I really like Thunderbird is Thunderbird has an internal filtration system. You can create filters. Like if you're getting spam from somebody, or you find that there's a particular word or phrase that's always spam, you can go in and you can create a filter and you can say, hey, any mail that comes in with this subject, just dump it in the trash. I don't even want to see it. You can have it go to a spam folder. So it's there, it's not deleted, but if you ever want it in the future, it's there. You can always go in and find it, but you know that 99.999% it's going to be garbage. So let's just throw it in that folder and forget about it.
Got it.
So that's one of the reasons that I particularly like Thunderbird. It's got that built right into it. Got the multiple personalities. It's got, you know, everything that you probably ever need. Mm-hmm. So that kind of.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that Office 365 is a hosting platform for emails.
Yes. Yep. That's what it is.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
and they love to get you over there because they, you know, that's another thing they can sell to you every month. But anybody that's hosting your site should be able to give you email as part of that account. It shouldn't cost you any extra unless you want a third party to do it. Then you got to pay them.
Got it.
So.
Okay.
John,
Thank you, everybody.
That makes sense.
For your
Okay.
patience.
Okay. I got Allie and then Gwen and then.
how do you raise your hand on this, John? I don't see a raise your hand button.
Oh, it is. Let's see. Where is that? Anybody know where to raise your hand? I think it's
reactions.
Reactions. There you go. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, Allie, go ahead. You got to unmute.
No, it's not there.
On my
It's under
iPad,
participants.
on my iPad, it's under the 3 dots that say more. I don't know what you're under or who's asking the question.
Richard Porter, and participants
Oh,
only
you
has
can,
a button. Reactions just has clapping hands and horns, and there is no 3-dot button anywhere.
Richard, you can go to participants and at the bottom it'll say raise hand, yes or no.
Nope. I
Oh,
wish
you have to click on participants, Richard.
clicking, all
And
I
then-
get is,
And then it'll give you the box on the right.
it says invite. That's it.
Okay.
What kind of
You're-
equipment are you on? Your phone or an
Hold
iPad?
on,
or
hold on a
computer?
second, Allie. Hold on.
Ah.
Okay, Richard, you're clicking the up arrow on participants. You have to click on the button called participants. And then that will open a box on the right side. And that's where there's a little hand thing in there under more.
Oh, it's over where the chat area is. It's not actually in participants.
Correct, correct. When you click on the participants, it opens that box and then
Thank you. I've been looking for that for a couple of weeks now. Never able to.
I had to find it. I had to find it myself there for you.
I wanted to follow on with what she was saying while you were staying in the vertical with regard.
John,
to
take somebody else. I have to take a call.
Okay, sure. Okay, so Gwen, go ahead and unmute.
Okay, unmuted. Did Roger there have more to say? He was started something.
No, go ahead. We'll get you first. Then we'll
Okay.
go on to Richard.
I got two questions now because she was talking email.
Okay.
What I have found is one of my main email that is hosted through you. When I lost my computer, I redid my Outlook and went to put it back in, and it's not automatically finding it. So I tried the POP and it still wouldn't take it. But the software email reader that it comes with, the computer comes with, totally took it.
Huh.
I'm wondering if I got a glitch in Outlook or a glitch on my finding.
Is your Outlook up to date?
Should be.
I know they update Outlook
downloaded it.
all the time.
Yeah, I'll try it. I'll try to update it again and then upload it again.
Okay, yeah. And if not, I can get you the parameters to plug in manually if you need that.
Okay, I may.
Okay, yeah, it's
Tired
not
of
a
doing
problem.
the two and flipping back and forth.
Sure, yeah. When you set up a mail account, there's a few parameters if you have to add them in manually. They just want
Right.
to know what the name server is, the username, the password, and then what ports. And I can get you that, or it's actually on my website too under email configuration.
Okay. I will look and see.
I got smart finally, and I put the whole procedure on my website for people.
I think I went there originally when I lost it and was trying to get it to work, but I'll see if I can find it again.
Okay.
And then my other question is, I've got a client on board, and looking on your website, do you still have that online, or do I need to send you the form, or how does that work now?
It depends on what it's for. I've changed up a whole bunch of stuff on there. Is it for a SEO client? Yeah.
Yes.
If it's an SEO
basic
client,
yeah.
just send me the domain that we're optimizing and the keywords, and then I'll set it in. I'll just plug it in for you.
Okay. That was that question. And then my other question is about the keywords, if I can. And that is, we're running the site pop, and I did email you on this. I'm just trying to make sure I understood it. And we're running specific keywords on site pop, and some of them are pretty big search volume.
Okay.
Like bot. And you said as long as it has the name of the business or a long tail of it.
Yeah. No.
But nobody's or like Body Butter with her name.
Sure. Okay. So with site pop, what you want to do, you put the keywords in as the way you want them. So you don't need to put the brand name in the keyword, but there's a section in site pop where you put your brand names, and you can add multiple brand names there. So what it will do, it will run the search looking for your keyword. If it doesn't find it, it will automatically add the brand to it and look again. So you don't need to put the brand in as a compilation, it will do that for you. So the idea,
So if I want to use words for her actual SEO program, is that a good idea? Or should I use other alternatives or blend them?
well, there's a couple of different strategies. There's one strategy of trying to optimize for really highly competitive keywords. Sometimes that's not something that you already rank for. If that's the case, what you do, you put fewer keywords. Like you might only put 1 or 2 or 3 keywords in. And what it does, it keeps running those searches for that keyword, not finding it, adding the brand. And it might take a while for Google to figure out that, hey, when somebody wants this keyword, this is the brand they're looking for. So that's one strategy. That's not my favorite strategy. What I like to do is I like to take keywords where you're already ranking. I call them traction keywords, where you're ranking on page 2, 3, 4. And I like to use those first because it'll take those and it'll pull them up to the top. And then as it's doing that, it's bringing a whole bunch of other keywords up with it. So it's like, you have millions of possible keywords you could rank for. Google knows this, and you are ranked for them somewhere, but you might just not find them. They might be beyond where you're looking, page 2, 3, 4, 5. It could be a page 500.
Yeah, she's got some that are like in the 20s and some that are 80.
Yeah. So as you do this, as you bring up those other ones that you're already ranking on page 2 for, and you pull those up to page 1, it drags all the rest of them up with it. So now keywords that were back beyond, they might be up on the page 2 or 3, and now you can switch them out and you can start pulling those up. So we've got clients that, they run reporting on hundreds of keywords, and we can see it's literally pulling hundreds of keywords up with it. When I do the webinars on it, I talk about it being like the tide in the harbor. When you rise the tide, all the ships go up with the tide, not just the one you're looking at.
Right. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like I should do a blend and keep my site pop keywords constant, and then take some of those that I've got a little traction on and grab those for the organic SEO, and then take some that I don't have too much traction on and just that I got on site pop and keep those going also.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And the other thing too about SEO, it's different if you're doing SEO for yourself versus doing SEO for a client. If you're doing SEO for yourself, you can strictly look, because we know the difference. You can strictly look at the keyword that's going to give you the max value, and you can hit it and hit it and hit it, knowing that it's coming up. But a client doesn't see that. Clients need to see results.
Right. So that's why I'm looking at blending.
So that's why with all client work, I take the traction keywords first so they can see some results. Even though they're small, they see them and they know the thing is working.
Okay.
And I just tell them, here's the strategy. We have to walk before we run, and or we crawl before we walk, then we walk before we run. And the crawling phase is taking the traction keywords and moving those up. That's the first part of the process. And then they see that work. Now they trust you. And now you can start pulling up more and more and more, and let them know this isn't, this is not a 30, 60, 90-day thing. This is a forever thing. And if they don't want to participate forever, they shouldn't even bother, because the money that they
established that one.
Yeah, the money they spend is just wasted. They should just go buy some advertising if that's what they want to do. But a lot of people understand the value of long-term SEO. So if they get it, just make sure, if you're doing client work, expectation is everything. You have to set the expectations so they're not disappointed. I always shoot very low. I shoot for very low expectations so I can look better. always. So I don't do hypey stuff. I tell them, you know, the truth, the long truth. I pad the shit out of it too. and that way, you know, when things go faster, it looks great. So.
Okay, thank you. That gives me a little more understanding.
All right, no problem. All right, Richard, now I'm ready for you. So you have to unmute. There you go.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. John, the when you started talking about domains and email and etc., one of the things that occurred, I didn't have the words for it until you started that conversation. You offer us the ability to set up a GoDaddy style domain selling service, correct? That's one of the things that you have in there.
Yeah, if you want to be your own domain registry, you go through Wild West Domains. Now, Wild West Domains is they're the ones that own GoDaddy. So they offer the service. GoDaddy is just a branded version of Wild West Domains. They sell that same branding. Like if you go onto my site and you go to register a domain, you'll see it looks very similar to GoDaddy because I use Wild West. So if you want to sell domains, sell registry, the only problem that you have with that is Wild West wants to sell hosting accounts too, and they're absolute crap. Like you don't want to get GoDaddy hosting. It's garbage.
I was looking at it more from the standpoint of I've got about 15 domains, 10 of which are active. The other 5 are ones that I bought that I want to use eventually. You know, I don't believe in holding domains hostage like these domain resellers. I think that should be outlawed, quite frankly, but that's another discussion. What I was thinking is that rather than paying GoDaddy $17 to $25 a year for the 15 domains that I have, if I had my own domain service and mine were the only domains that I registered with my service, I could save myself a couple $100 a year just in domain registrations. Is that a fallacy or not worth it? Is that
No, that's absolutely true. When you get a Wild West domain registry account to sell domain names, you can buy your own domain names in there and you can set the price for them. So they have a minimum base price. And basically when you set the price for your customers to buy domain names through your registry, the difference between their base price and whatever you set your price to sell the domains for, they just send you a check back for the difference every month.
okay? So, but if I'm just renewing mine for their base price and I don't ever add another domain, are they going to get pissed at me or
No, they're so big they wouldn't even know the difference. They're not looking at that.
Okay, so do I have that conversation with you or with Wild West?
That would be Wild West. You can sign up. You can sign right up through there. I can probably dig the link up for you if you need it.
That'd be great. Because otherwise I'm just going to go to their site and have to hunt around, and I'm not sure what I'm looking for.
Okay, yeah, I think you can Google it. You can Google Wild West reseller.
Oh, okay.
And you should be able to find it that way. If you can't, just shoot me an email and I'll look it up for you.
Okay, so now if I'm going to be having my one key master URL, and we're set, and you have that map of the website that I eventually want to build out. It's going to take a while to put the content and all that stuff, and have all the domains forwarded to them. I have those domains forwarded and masked, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can. That's another thing. Like I should probably cover that too, because it's very similar to the email discussion.
Please.
If you've got a bunch of different domain names, and just like you don't want to have a bunch of different email addresses or email boxes, you want just one website, you can forward those to either a website or you can forward them to a page in a website. Like the reason that you would do this is a really good trick for a lot of people that like to speak whether it's through podcasts or on stage or whatever. Let's say you've got an offer on a deep page in your website. You don't want to be saying on stage or on a podcast, well, go to mydomain.com/yada, yada, yada, / this and that. That doesn't work. So if you have a short domain that describes your offer, you just send them to, hey, go to getmyoffer.com, and that can forward to the page in your main website. You just set up the forwarding. You don't set up domain forwarding. You just set up URL forwarding, and then it'll forward to that specific URL. That's a really good trick for speakers, authors, and coaches that do offers. Like maybe they want to offer their book, but you don't want to have to send them to your site to navigate through and try and find it.
The part that I liked with that, John, was that all of the link juice that you develop on all those other subdomains all bubbles up and supports the overall big domain, so you can really get a lot of authority for your main domain by having all these little mini sites underneath your main domain.
Yes. Yeah, that's probably the biggest reason that a lot of people switched to that, was just for that. Like Google made a big shift here a few years back. They shifted to this main authority. And the thing that they're looking at as far as authority is how much traffic does your site have? That's a big factor. So if you have one site and everything forwards to that site, Google's going to see all that traffic and say, oh, that site's fairly important. So they're going to put more value to it. If you've got 10 different domains and 10 different sites and you're sending people to specific sites for specific things, you have now just diluted that. You basically told Google, yeah, you got all these sites, but none of them are really worth anything. None of them have a bunch of traffic. So that's the biggest reason why you want to consolidate everything onto one site and get all that traffic going to that one site, so Google pays attention to it.
Should I also have the name servers for all of those having all those domains on the same name server, I would think, would also add to that credibility, rather than having some of them hosted on GoDaddy and some hosted somewhere else and having it forwarded there.
That's not really a factor as far as that goes, because name servers are completely different. They're just a place where records are drawn.
Okay, so with that domain set up, and I would like to be able to have people respond to the offers on each of those mini sites within my big website, do I have you set that up on as email for each of those sites that are hosted, or how does that all work, so I can have the offer 1 at the particular at domain 1 and offer 3 at domain 4, and have it all come into one mailbox, so I don't have to.
Okay. So if you want mail with all the domains,
yeah,
then you're better off to point the name servers all to one place. So like, let's say you had 10 different domains and you wanted me to host the website and host the mail. You would take all 10 of those domains, point the name servers to me, and then I would make all the connections for you. I could set up all the email forwarding, and it would all be in one house, and it would all be very easy and simple.
And change over to Thunderbird from, what is it, 360?
Yeah, 365 is a paid Outlook service. So if you don't want to pay for the mail at Outlook, you can change over. You can either use regular Outlook software as a mail reader, or I prefer Thunderbird. I've used Thunderbird for ever since it came out. It was actually Netscape before Thunderbird, so I used it even way back then.
Is it a one-pay or a subscription?
It's actually free. You can download it for free. I've never paid for Thunderbird or Netscape.
Well, the Office 365 with all the Word and Excel and PowerPoint, that part I want to use, and Outlook is in there. But if I could change it over to something like Thunderbird that would give me some more functionality, then the Outlook gives me. Plus Outlook is so popular for being hacked.
Yeah, well, Outlook 365 does give you all the settings if you want to use Thunderbird. So any email reader, you can actually use multiple email readers. You could have Outlook 365 set up, and you could also have Thunderbird reading the mail out of there. There's settings in any email reader that your mail really is sitting on the server. If you're using Outlook 365, they are your mail server. So the mail is literally sitting in there. If you're using another POP account on a regular domain hosting, then your mail is sitting on their server. So what you do is if you're using multiple email readers, like let's say you have 2 computers and you want to get the mail on both computers, you can set the parameter in Thunderbird to leave the mail on the server as unread. That way, when you go to your main computer in your office, it will still download all the mail for you. You can have a main email reader that takes the mail off the server, loads it to your computer, and then it's off the server.
How do I get what I was thinking was that when I know that the email, if it's sitting in my inbox, it's likely on their server, but if I move it from their inbox to a folder that I've set up, is it still over on their server, or is it ever on my computer?
If you're using Outlook 360, that's a cloud hosted mail. So it's never on your computer. That's the thing I like about Thunderbird. It moves it all to my computer.
I was going to say, because if I've had computers die before, and the horror stories are bleeding from your eye level kind of stuff, I want to make sure that because when I back up my drives, I do cloud. I have I have 4 levels of backup because of history.
Mm-hmm.
And I also do that. I thought I was backing up my email. When I back up my email onto my computer, I thought I had hard copies of all my emails on my computer. Are you saying no, it's still all on their server?
If you're using Outlook 365, that's a cloud-based. I think you can download it. If you're running Outlook on your computer, you can download it into there. But it just depends on how you've got it set up.
Okay.
Depends on your particular configuration. Most people just do it in the cloud because they don't want to mess with mail servers and setting things up. And that's why Office 365 is such a popular service. That's why Gmail is such a popular service. You can get your mail from anywhere. And
I just want to make sure my email is back up like my hard drives are. So when the apocalypse hit, I can still have access to my emails as well as my drives.
Yeah, I mean that if you're having the mail stored on your own computer, that is a concern. Definitely. I mean, I do that. I have a service that backs my home computer up, or my office computers. That backs them all up every night. So
mine backs it up real time. I don't even wait for the evening. I don't want to lose days for it.
Well, yeah, it does that. It does that too, but it offloads it every night. So I've at least got an offsite copy every night. And I've had, over the years, I've been using, Thunderbird for however long it's been out. If you go all the way back to Netscape and count it up, it's probably 25 years. And obviously over the years, I've had computers crash. I've had to update my computers, and I've always been able to move those files forward into the next version of Netscape or Thunderbird or whatever the mail is.
Great. Thank you. I got to take a call, so I'll mute out. Thank you, John.
Okay, you got it. All right, Randy, you got your hand up.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Hey, I had a Kartra, I know we're switching gears with my question, but I had a Kartra calendar issue, and I'm not sure where it's stemming from. I took your advice about having multiple calendars, so I cloned the calendars. Then I made one specifically for meeting planners and consults, the free stuff. And then I moved over and made a calendar for my coaching offers. The problem that I saw yesterday is I got an email confirmation saying, hey, this person wants to talk to you. And it came from the meeting calendar, which could only be initial consult, meeting planners, or coffee, tea, and with me, or whatever it is.
Mhm.
So, but it came in, and then I looked at the calendar on Kartra, and it had several dates and times listed, like multiples. And I'm trying to figure out how is that possible, because I only have a specific time, and it's 45 minutes for each of those 3 meetings, whether it's initial or meeting planner or whatever. And this came in and it says 30 minutes. So I emailed the person's email to verify that it was that they had requested a meeting, and I've heard nothing from that person. So could somebody have gotten, I think it's 2 issues. So based on what I told you already, what could that be?
Well, it could be somebody that was just messing around filling your form out.
Right.
And they might not even have put the right email address in.
Mhm.
But here's something that's cool about the Kartra calendar. If for them to even sign up for the Kartra calendar, they have to opt into your database. So you have a prospect record in your database in Kartra. If you look at it, if the record has a little red dot on it, you can roll over the red dot and it'll tell you why that person's email is not working.
Okay.
If their email is not working, then it's, that's just probably junk.
Okay. All right.
And you probably don't get a lot of that because of the steps they have to go through to fill out the calendar.
Mhm.
But I have gotten some.
Okay.
And then you respond back and you never hear anything because the email's no good.
Right. So then the second part of that is, why would, when this person filled it out, let's say it's a real person,
Mm-hmm.
why would it show 30 minutes on the appointment, but yet I only have it set for 45 minutes and it came in multiple days? Same time, but multiple days.
Yeah, that part I'm not really sure. I know in Kartra, they have recently updated their calendar multiple times, adding additional functionality. They might have added the functionality of repeating meetings.
Okay, so I'll have
So
to
you
go
might
in.
want to take a look at that and make sure that you don't have repeated meetings set up. Because
Okay.
if you do that, then when they sign up, it will add it to the calendar for multiple dates.
Okay. All right. I'll take a look at that.
That's what that sounds like. That would be the only logical explanation for that one.
Okay. All right. Well, that's short, sweet, to the point. Thank you very much.
Sure, absolutely. All right. Allie looks like she is still on the phone there. So who else do we have here?
Well, since Allie's on the phone, I'll butt right back in real quick.
Okay, sure. Go for it.
So you've been talking about these emails and you did you upgraded my website, and I love you for it. It looks great. I'm still learning about this whole website, do it yourself kind of sort of thing. But we kept my email with Rackspace.
Yes.
And I haven't had any problem with Rackspace. All of a sudden today, I'm getting these things from, and it's not Rackspace because I checked the email where it's coming from. Urgent, you need to click here and blah, blah, blah. And it's starting to freak me out because this is all of a sudden. And I've had Rackspace for 3 or 4 years and never any problems. So now I'm thinking maybe I need to talk to you offline about my email.
Well, here's something. It doesn't matter where your email is hosted. You're going to get spam. I mean, there's just no way around it.
Okay.
And part of spam is these idiots, for lack of a better word. I actually have better words, but we'll leave it as idiots. I don't know why they do it, but they're sending all kinds of stuff to try and scare you into doing stuff. There are some reasons. Here's some of the worst reasons for it. One of them is called phishing, and not phishing like F-I-S-H, it's P-H, that kind of phishing.
Mhm.
They're phishing for your login information. Be careful of this. Like, a bank will not ask you what your username and password is. You know,
Mhm.
they won't have you send that to them. A hosting company, nobody is gonna have you send that through email. And if you look at the links, like you might get an email and it'll say, click here to enter your username and password. They make the page look like it is your bank, but it's not.
Mhm.
They're trying to get you to enter your username and password for your bank account. Then what? Guess what? They have your username and password for your bank account. That's not a good thing. So phishing is a big reason why they do it. They try and scare you. They say, oh, you know, if you don't log into your bank account, we're going to close your account. You're freak out. You're like, oh shit, I got to log into this. Well, you just gave them your login for your bank. That's not good. There's a ton of them doing that. There's the other one. I've almost on a daily basis, I get at least one or two clients freaked out about this one. And I got to pump the brakes for them and say, it's not real. It's all bogus. But they're trying to get you to send them Bitcoin payments to not reveal your personal information. And they say, we've hacked your computer and we saw those fun websites you were on and we recorded what you were doing while you were watching the sites. I mean, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, that's just fine. But they say, you know, we'll delete the video if you send us a Bitcoin payment.
There's probably more of that going on now because of COVID. Everybody's home.
Yeah, but it's like, really, you know, if your camera's lit up, the thing lights up with a little thing around it. So you know if you're getting recorded. But you know, how many people just send them the Bitcoin payment? It's like, it blows my mind. But those are the two biggest reasons why hackers do what they do. But back when I first started in the hosting business, that's where I actually started on the internet, was hosting websites and building websites and all that. And I learned from a master. He was the one that actually housed my servers. He helped me build the servers for hosting and all that stuff, because I didn't know anything about it. I knew I wanted to be in the business, but I didn't know the first thing about it. And he's the one that took me in, showed me the ropes, and, you know, kept me out of trouble for the most part. That's pretty hard to do, but he showed me the ropes. And it seemed like a couple of times a year we were constantly under attack from hackers trying to get into our servers. And this is way back. This is before we had all the sophisticated security and firewalls and all that stuff we've got today. But I asked him, I said, why do these people want to destroy my servers? And he said, it really comes down to, if you notice the times that this happens, it's like spring break, it's Christmas vacation, it's a bunch of students with idle time on their hands. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, really. So it's just weird stuff. I mean, people are idiots. There's so many idiots out there. And you know, I mean, you got to seriously be lacking of, you know, of entertainment to want to go and just destroy somebody's server. You know, you got to be hard pressed for entertainment for that to be appealing anyway.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
So, but yeah, if you guys get those kind of emails, here's something where you can kind of see, this is what I look for to verify if it's a real email address. When you roll over the link, down in the bottom left corner, it'll show you where the link goes to before you click on it. If it's not where you think it should be, don't click on it. and another one, like I bank at Chase. So Chase is chase.com. Well, what they'll do, they will put a subdomain in there. They'll put chase.com dot, then their domain. So if you just look at it as a glance, you see the chase.com, but it's a subdomain of a phishing site. So be careful of that. Look carefully. Don't just breeze over it and say, oh yeah, there's chase.com and click it. Same thing with Wells Fargo and any of the major banks out there. So watch out for that stuff. Be careful. Careful what you click. Okay. Gregory, did you, I think you had popped out there.
You answered it directly in a way. But a lot of the phishing ones have a lot of weird endings, and
Yeah.
also to where it's coming from. And then you also got to watch out. A lot of them come from Russia, which is UR.
Yeah. Yeah. UR and TR and IT, a lot from Italy. Yeah, just careful what you click on. All right, Allie, did you have?
Yes, thank you. Well, it's a great conversation. My questions keep piling up based on the conversation. Well, going back to Teresa's, just the email stuff, I wanted to, I use Gmail and it does have a forwarding aspect, John, but I think I haven't forwarded any emails lately, but I think it was limited to like 5. So what do you do in that case where,
Okay. That's really kind of the way that they upcharge you for more. You can always buy more. But anybody that's offering you mail, they really shouldn't be charging you more for more forwards. That doesn't cost them anything. It's
and then how does Thunderbird play in? I missed, I had to take a call and I missed your explanation of what Thunderbird is. Can you just briefly recap that?
Thunderbird is just an email reader. It's just where you read your emails. It's like Outlook is Microsoft's version of Thunderbird.
Okay,
Outlook,
and that's
Outlook,
free?
Yes, Outlook 365 is their cloud hosting service for all of their applications. So that's a paid service. But Outlook is Outlook, the software, is an email reader, just like Thunderbird is an email reader. Gmail has their own email reader, and it's completely cloud-based. You don't download it or anything. It's just all in the cloud. So Thunderbird is not in the cloud. Thunderbird is on your desktop or on your phone or whatever you're going to use it on.
Okay, and do they, but it interacts in the cloud, or does everything download to your computer?
In Thunderbird, it all downloads to your computer. You can have a setting in there. You can have a setting to leave it on the server in the cloud if you want to.
And does that take up a lot of the memory, John, and the, all the MBBs and whatever?
Today's computers have so much space and so much horsepower that's really not that much of an issue anymore. I mean, all mail takes up space. It's like, it depends on what kind of mail. If you're a graphic designer and you've got clients and you're forwarding like comps and stuff that are, gigabytes of stuff, then yeah, you can stack up a lot of space on your server or on your computer doing that.
Right. I use Dropbox to avoid the clog there, but meet there and let them look and whatever.
Sure.
So I'm asking all these questions because my computer logic board fried and I lost everything. So I'm working that out.
Yeah, you want to make sure if you're doing stuff on your own computer and not in the cloud, you make sure you do backups on your files.
Right. So I thought I had everything backed up on the cloud, and I thought I was backing up on a external hard drive. And when I went to Apple, they couldn't get anything. Now it's a jumping through hoops thing. I had to wait for an appointment to talk to the repair place and all that. But anyway, so the bottom line is I am resetting up everything from scratch. And so that's why I appreciated Teresa's conversation, because I'm building and I want to kind of build it clean, John. And I want to know what what service you're using to back up on a nightly or even Richard said he's backing up daily.
Yeah,
What are you guys using? Because I need a backup because I lost all my everything, like everything.
I use a company called Carbonite. So it's let's see, it's CARBONITE.
Okay. And is that .com or?
Yeah, I believe so. And what it does, it backs your files up on your computer in real time, and then it uploads them to its own cloud off of your server. So let's say, even if somebody stole your computer, somebody came into your office and just ripped your computer off, you could go back to Carbonite and you could re-download all of your files onto your new computer when you get a new computer. So it's kind of a cool deal.
Yeah, that's awesome to know now.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like my whole life is on this computer. If I lost it, it would be I'd just pack it in. I'd like, okay, guys, I'm going fishing. I'm done.
Yes. I know. So in light of all that, so I'm like 9/11 right now. So it's pretty interesting. And I also wanted to ask you, which it's very interesting space to have everything wiped, and you just no access. So I'm taking it as universe is forcing me to clean house, and that's good, and shift my energy. So I'm also working with, I'm an artist and I'm also a coach, and I'm talking to this person who's kind of, I'm working on finding a really good designer to design my art website with all of my art on it, to be able to sell. And then I'm listening to the whole conversation about directing everything, John, and I know you said that before. So I have my art site, my coaching business, and I'm teaching some art classes and things. And then I wanted to know, then like Rich has his whole thing, is it beneficial to merge everything into one, like you do Limbo Vision? Like is it, and to hide that, how do you hide everything and direct everything?
Unless they're completely unrelated businesses. If it's a completely unrelated business, then you might want two websites. But if everything is like for me, everything I do is related somehow to marketing. So whether it's hosting or whether it's SEO or whether it's web development or whether it's funnel building or Kartra or marketing automation, it's all under one umbrella. So that makes sense for me to have just those separate pages under my one domain. Mm-hmm. Now, if I was doing, let's say, bathroom repair, yeah, and I had a side job as a carpenter, or maybe I was a dentist, and I had a side hustle, putting crowns on teeth, that would not make sense to be under the same domain.
Right.
So,
okay, thank you. That's good clarity. Because I just checking on what you actually put under Limbo Vision and how diverse it is, Yeah. Because now that I have to start from scratch and I'm working. And then the other thing is, if I work with, I know that you like to have your team build out, but I'm having to deal with a lot of aspects regarding my art and putting my paintings in backgrounds of beautiful, where to show people it works in this background, it works in that background. Anyway, and there's a lot of different parts and add-ons and, to get everything to connect together. And I know that you like to have your team build out, but could I, if I had the site built by these guys that are making, I've checked out some other websites that I've really liked. And that's been my issue as a former art director and designer. I want my brand to look great. And it's taken me a long time to find a team of people that can build a website the way I really want it to, that the way I would build it, but I haven't been building anything since, 25 years ago. So I'm just off the grid on that. So But could I still work with you? Because I want that connection.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on if they have what they're doing on a specialized server or something, then, you know, you're probably just better off just to go with them. If they're doing what they're doing, you know, in a WordPress environment, then I could host that for you, no problem. We could all work together.
Okay.
So it just
So
kind
what
of
do you mean by
depends.
specialized environment then?
Like let's say they needed some kind of specialized server to do the graphic specialties that they're doing. And I don't know this to be true. It's just a
Yeah.
what if. If that were the case, it doesn't make sense for me to get invested in that server just to host that one account for you.
Right. Okay.
They could do
But
it
if
much more.
it's what's it called, John?
If it's WordPress,
WordPress?
yeah, if it's WordPress, that I can host the WordPress for you, and they can do whatever they need to in there. And or if you've got an example of what you want, what you like, I can show it to my guys, and they can probably do it for you.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Because I'm trying to stay in the family and I'm building everything up right now. And it's
Sure.
just, it's just all interesting. And
Yeah,
then the
and
other
I have a phenomenal team. I mean, they can do stuff that, you know, none of us have even heard of yet. And all we have to do is describe what we want. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, here it is.
So if I pointed them to, so if I showed you websites, do you and I interface and then you talk with them? That's how it's been in the past, or
Yeah.
would I be able to talk with them directly?
Yeah, well, you probably wouldn't do well with that because you don't speak their language.
Right.
It would be
Okay.
a very painful process for you.
Okay, good. All right. So that's good to check in on. So that's great. And then when you were talking about when the conversation moved into the Wild West, what's the full name of the Wild West servers, John, that you are using, and they're the same as GoDaddy?
It's called Wild West Domains is the name of the company.
It struck me when you were talking about, I don't know, I think it was Richard. I don't know who was inquiring, who had a lot of domain names.
Mhm.
If you had a lot of domain names, would it be worth it to have your own Wild West domain hosting account? Because what I'm pointing to is if I have clients that like want to work with me, is it like let's say I have 10 domain names, .coms, right?
Mhm.
Is it, if I get that up and running and I can charge as much as I want for each domain name, well, how does that work in terms of business and write-offs? And like, do you write the whole thing off then? Or how does that work with taxes? I should ask Joe, Joe and you, a little powwow.
Well, any expense to run your business is a write-off. So whether it's buying a domain or buying a service or, you know, any of that, you can write off anything. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong there, Joe, but anything you buy for your business, you can write it off, you know, pretty much.
I think Joe popped out. I don't see him. Oh, there he is. No,
he's
Joe's there. Oh, yeah, he wasn't on my
here. I'm here. So I guess you weren't on my webinar. Everything's deductible.
Yeah.
Everything that goes through your bank account is deductible except for your haircuts and your clothes.
Really? Well, what if you're a speaker? Shouldn't haircuts and clothes be counted?
No, but you could put your logo on your clothes and then it'll be a deduction. Right, Teresa?
That's good to know. Put my logo on my clothes.
I
Okay.
don't know if you've ever been to John's house. His entire house is business use.
You know, I was thinking he was going to name the boat Internet Dominators.
Well, the boat's named Limbo Land, which is the parent corp.
John,
There you go.
If you're not writing off that boat, I'd be very disappointed in you.
Oh, you know better. You know better.
Hey, Joe, eventually when I grow up, I'm going to get in touch with you about CPA accounting work and all that, because I am a speaker, author, and coach. But let me ask you a quick question based on what Alice said. Can you put your logo on the inside of your sport coat and write it off?
You bet.
Does it have to show?
What about if it's Joe? What if
I would fight you to, yeah, I would take it.
you would take it?
Yeah.
What about if it's a lapel pin or, something cool?
All right. Free advice is over.
You're in our mentoring group here, Jojo.
You're the man, Joe.
I said, I just had a client, I fired her because she asked me if she could write off a $15,000 necklace. I said, no, that's overboard. But, my clients, if they put stuff through their business accounts, we assume that it's business. We tell them that unless, we see something obvious like a doctor bill or a school tuition payment. But that's how we do it. We try to run it like a business. And then we just gotta, hope that the IRS never calls us.
My God. My thing is gonna die. I'm trying to run to get into an electric cord. Hang on a second, you guys. Okay. Jesus. Here we go. I don't see anybody. It just went dark. Oh, dark 100 here in my world. I'm in limbo land of my own. Okay. There y'all are. Okay. All right. So thank you guys for that. Great fun facts there. And thanks, John. And then so what Teresa was talking about the emails and
yeah, this has been really cool today because we didn't talk at all about marketing.
Yeah, it's been great.
It was what you guys needed. So
yes.
That's what I like to do is whatever you need, wherever you're at, throw it out. If I know it, I'll address it.
So John,
if I don't, we'll pass it over to Joe.
All right. Okay. So I have, I bought a computer to just bridge the gap. It was interesting. I have an iPad and I have I have a personal phone and a business phone. My personal phone is a Samsung and doesn't talk to any Mac world. It's just crazy. So I'm trying to figure out how to get my information from my Samsung phone to talk to my computer and now this iPad. And anyway, I'm just at base camp building up everything from scratch, John. So I'm trying to figure out the best, cleanest way to set it up so that right from the shoot, I'm good. And so I kind of probably just need to talk to you because
here's something I do. In the real world, I'm not a hoarder. I clean stuff out. I throw stuff away. I like simplicity. But for some reason, I have become a digital hoarder. And every time I move from one computer to another, I don't want to lose anything.
Right.
And so what I do is I get one of these little, what are they called? It's a hard drive. It's an external hard drive.
External hard drive.
Yeah. So I go on not Fry's. I go on Amazon, and for 30 to 50 bucks, I can get a very large external hard drive. Plug it into my USB port, and I take everything off the old computer before I get rid of it. Everything, all the files, everything. And in the real world, I look at things like when I go through my garage or whatever, I'll say, okay, if I haven't used this in 10 years, I'm probably never going to.
Right.
Get rid of it, right? In the real world.
Yeah.
And now it's down to probably like 2 years. If I haven't touched that tool in 2 years, I'm probably never going to. So I put it over there, and the reality is I never use any of the old stuff. It is so rare that I ever go back. But the moral of the story is I don't pile it all on my new computer.
Right.
I literally start fresh. I only put on the new computer what I need as I need it. And when I look, almost like 99% of that old stuff I didn't need. So I didn't clutter up my new computer by doing that. I left it all on that external drive, and it's still there. I got peace of mind that I didn't lose it. If I ever need it, it's there for me. But I only move it over if I need it. And that's the
Thank you. Yeah,
hard
I haven't.
reality of I
I-
don't need it.
Problem is, you never know what it is that you're going to need, so you have to save it all.
Exactly. And that's, you know, it's really nice on those little external drives. They don't take up much space, and I've got a whole drawer full of them over here.
Yeah, okay, because that's what I was thinking, and I have to figure out how, so I have to figure out how to get my phone information to talk to the Macs, the Samsung, they don't, Mac does this on purpose. It's infuriating, but Macintosh,
I'll tell you how to do it.
okay.
I'll tell you exactly how to do it, step by step.
Oh, yay.
You get in your car and you drive over to the computer store or the cell phone store, and you get one of the young people in there, and boom, they'll do whatever you want. Go
Yeah,
to
okay.
T-Mobile or wherever you pay for your cell phone service. They have people in there that are amazing. I send
I'll
her over there
try
all the
it.
time when she wants something with her phone, and they just do it for her. It's awesome.
Oh, that's nice. I'll try it. A lot of we've been getting a lot of like, we can't help you now that it's COVID-19, including the Apple store. They were like, and I had to wait like 10 days to get an Apple like Genius appointment when my computer first crashed.
Huh.
It was
Well,
a trip, man.
we're with T-Mobile, and we went over a few months ago. We had something going on, and we went over, and there was a wait because they would only let like 2 people in the building at a time. So you had to like stand outside and wait in line, but it went pretty quick, and they've always been just awesome. We had Sprint before them, in the same way with Sprint.
I have T-Mobile. I'll give that a whirl. So thank you very much. I
Or
appreciate it.
if you've got any kids around.
I have no kids. No.
I don't either, but nieces, nephews, neighbors, anything, just a young person.
I know. Mm.
They're amazing.
Have to go find one.
Don't ask them for common sense, just
No.
technical stuff.
John, if you don't mind, I got a quick question because I came in late.
Sure.
You know, I thought I'm doing everything in the cloud, and I came in late about the backup thing.
Okay.
So I got my tax stuff on the server now. But what do you think? I should still back everything up? I used to have Carbonite.
I would, just as an extra layer of protection. I mean,
Okay.
the cloud, here's the thing with the cloud. You don't control the cloud.
Mm-mm.
And
So how do I
don't
save
think-
stuff that's on the cloud?
The cloud is a computer. Don't think for a minute that can't crack. There could be
So you're
lightning in
talking
that
like
cloud someday.
all the stuff in my Google Drive, I should be backing up to another system, is what you're saying?
I
Yes,
would.
Joe, because they couldn't download my stuff from the cloud. Definitely back it up hard.
Okay.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
what-
it's just a peace of mind thing.
Mm-mm.
The
Not
little
anymore.
the little external hard drives, they're too cheap to not save important stuff, you know.
Get 2 of them because you
Thanks.
never know if one of them might fail. I've got 2 externals and the cloud, and they all back up in real time because you never know when it's going to die. And if it's going to die, well, just ask Alice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's also a good idea to have them in 2 different locations. Your home and your office, or,
Yeah.
you know, there are people that will store your stuff at a remote location.
Yeah.
Separate.
When I worked for agencies, we always did that, Teresa. We always backed up to 3 different locations because, you know, well, John, you know, back those days, they were actually afraid of, bye, Randy.
Hey, I just got to share something because you brought this up. My wife's business was broken into Monday night, 12:45 a.m.
Oh,
Oh,
And she owns an accounting and a practice, bookkeeping and accounting. And let me tell you, all I can say is she uses the cloud for everything, for all of her clients. Now, she may have it all backed up on a second cloud system somewhere, but if we had stuff on the computers at the office, we would be in trouble with client files at the office. Because when they broke in, the only thing they got, thank God, was one brand new computer that was still in the box. But they ransacked it looking for cash and stuff that they could grab quickly. But because of the alarm system, they turned the circuit breakers off, thinking that killed everything. So they probably had limited lighting, whether it was a flashlight or their phone light, because there was computers everywhere underneath the desk, not out in the open, but at each desk. And they didn't take anything but that one brand new computer and a few, we don't know what files yet, but a few little files. So just be real careful about having hard drives at your office if you have sensitive material.
Yeah, especially sensitive stuff. That's a whole different can of worms. If you deal with finance or, anything that is regulated,
Yeah.
I would prefer cloud the shit out of that stuff.
Or your physical backup somewhere else more secure than that.
Yeah.
Can I
Maybe
jump in here for a minute on something on this, Randy?
Yes.
John?
Yeah, go ahead.
John, if Randy gets a geofencing account, could he geofence his wife's office at 12:45 a.m. to see if any of the culprits had their cell phones on board or a cell phone in the area?
You
So
absolutely
they had to
could.
drive to the site.
You
Well,
absolutely could do that.
That's a good point. So as I grow up, we'll have to talk about that too. Who's that, Gregory?
Yeah, that's Gregory.
Okay.
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had the building property managers had video surveillance. And so we got a good picture of him, but that doesn't mean anything,
No.
because again, hoodie, mask.
Right.
But the same
but
individual.
it'll give the police and the insurance companies a possible suspect for a lead to start.
Right.
I mean, the person is still innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
But if at 12:45 a.m. there's only like 3 people within a quarter mile of the office, then
or even less than that.
less than that, a block exactly.
Right.
Because
Right.
and if they had to drive there. If they drive there, then they might have even left the cell phone in the car. It doesn't matter. At least you have something to go on. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Good point.
Yeah, that is an interesting use of the cloud targeting stuff, or crowd targeting rather.
That's
Definitely
good.
have to keep that in mind.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up here today?
This has been one of the best
Hey,
sessions.
John, everyone.
Yeah, go ahead, Woody.
Yeah, course that I wrote a while ago called Winning Through No. It's a breakthrough course to get through fear when you're cold calling or being with people. No, I never copyrighted it. I'm wondering if I should at least get a domain, winthroughno.com or whatever, that would sort of validate my piece of work in the world. So, not have someone using it. I mean, what is a good way to just sort of spread your scent around and make a claim for a title?
Well, it's for anything that you create, it's automatically copyrighted by you. So that for you to protect it, all you have to do is just put notice on it. Like if you put it on the internet or something, by you putting the copyright notice on it, you are technically protected. For you to enforce it, you have to go through the Library of Congress and basically just file your claim to its ownership. And they'll ask you, when was your first date of use? When was your first date of publication? All that. And then you can legally protect it. But just by anything, whether it's, a piece of copy or an image or, anything that you create is automatically copyrighted by you. The enforcement of it is another thing. What's that?
So put that little C in a circle
The C,
next to it.
the C in the circle is copyright notice. And then the name of who it's copyrighted by and the date. And that protects you.
And then what do you do as a business person? You just have a sheet of paper with all the things you've put C's next to.
No, I mean, you really just do it as a long-term insurance play. Of all the people I know, very few people have gotten into a copyright infringement case. And if you do, the only thing you need to do is you just need to file with the Library of Congress for you to be able to enforce it. So most people don't ever get to that juncture, but just knowing that you got it on there, it's just like a blanket protection telling the world, hey, this is my stuff, don't steal it.
So should I take a domain to name it?
You
Domain.
wouldn't need a domain to do that. The only reason you'd need a domain is if you're going to actively promote it and you want an easy URL for somebody to get to that, to get to it.
Got it. Thank you, John.
But you would be better off to put it under another website that you own that is, in that same category, and add it to an existing website to build the authority of that, versus having its own entity out there that didn't have any traffic to it and was just.
Got it. So just put it in my real estate website.
Yeah, put it in as a page and then have the domain point to that page.
Got it. Thanks, John.
All right. We're going to wrap up for today, and thank you guys for participating. This was a great call. This is the kind of call I love. And if there's anything you guys want me to teach, you want to learn from me, if I've done it, I can show you how to do it. I've done a lot of stuff, so I'm happy to share anything. I was going to ask you guys too, kind of think about this. Is there any courses or something that I haven't done that would benefit you or this community that you think I should explore? I would love to hear about that too. So you don't have to say it now, but just kind of put that in your thinking cap. And if you come up with something that you would like me to cover, even if it's more Kartra stuff or whatever, let me know. I want to create new stuff, but I want to do stuff that is wanted, not just to create new stuff. All right. So
everybody have a great week.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, everybody have a great week, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, John. Great call.
Hey, Randy, get on it. Bye.
Good to see you all. Thanks, Johnny.
Bye-bye.